Swamiji told a story from the 10th century of an abbot who was asked the question, what should I do? And I wrote it here so I could get the wording right. What should I do if I am uplifted into a state of ecstasy? A monk asked the abbot this. And the bell rings to call me to communal prayer. So imagine, a fellow goes into ecstasy and the bell's ringing up. I got to go to the church and pray. And the abbot, wise man that he was, says, you should remain in that condition to which God has called you. The purpose of prayer, and this is Swami's comment on that, the purpose of prayer, whether private or communal, is to bring you into closer communion with God. But then Swami went on to say that he read also of another abbot of the 20th century. When asked that same question, that abbot responded, what you receive from God is yours to enjoy in eternity. Meanwhile, here on earth, your first duty is to obey our monastic rule. Now, there's two different perspectives on that approach. First, in ecstasy, commune with God, that's your highest duty. The second, follow the rules. That's your highest duty. And I think this epitomizes one of the reasons why our masters incarnate and Paramahansa Yogananda specifically came with the mission to revitalize original Christianity and show the connection between original Christianity and original yoga as taught by Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And this seems to, for many people, to have been lost because they've lost the techniques, perhaps. They don't know the methods by which to put oneself into communion. And so Master not only came with that mission, he came with the tools to allow us to actually do that in our mission. Now, Swami went on to tell another story about the time he was in England, traveling. I'm guessing this would have been in the 1970s sometime, early 80s, not much later than that. And he was in England, and while he was in England, he was invited to a conference of spiritual teachers from different denominations, and finding these types of things, finding common ground. And each was invited to speak about the topic of the purpose of religion in the modern day. What it should be, how it should be practiced. And various people from various traditions came up and spoke, and Swami was invited to speak. But right before Swami spoke, there was another man who came from a tradition in England. I'm not sure which one it was, Church of England, maybe, I don't know. And this man was fervent. He was on fire. And he says, modern religion, the religion of the past, is no longer appropriate for today. Modern religion needs to take that religion into the streets and make it real. We must work for social change and uplift the downtrodden, and so on and so forth. Now, okay, to some degree. Swami gets up after that. That is the first purpose of the modern religion, you might say, is what the man went on. And Swami came up very, again, calm, centered, as Swami was in these situations. And he says, somewhat sheepishly, he says, it's not courteous for me in this position to contradict somebody who has already spoken. But I must say something. I must bring this up. Our first duty as religionists, our first duty is communion with God. And from that communion to act in the way that is appropriate for God's guidance to lead us to do. For some, that may be active service. For some, that may be private communion in a monastic setting. But it should come from within. And then I'm sure he was, in a sense, saying, seek ye first the kingdom of God. That is ancient religion, and that is modern religion of our duty, or what we as religionists are called to. This, of course, is a story that resonates with all of us even today, and that's a story that is epitomizing in relationship to the crisis of service that we're facing today, that we must do what's appropriate, but appropriate for us. How is our service going to be meaningful? And we, each one of us, should not look to the outside, well, he's doing that, she's doing that, I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. No. First thing we do is we contact God, we contact Guru's grace, we look within and we ask God, how do you want me to serve? Thy will be done. How can I serve? Now, some people can serve by outwardly, many different ways. One can do that. If you're a doctor, that may be one thing. If you're a nurse, another. But maybe it means prayer. Maybe it means finding ecstasy and spreading your bliss to other people. I don't know. Each of us at our own level have to go in, and it's from that inner inspiration that we then outwardly serve in an appropriate way. And to the degree that each of us have different capacities, we serve to our capacity. That is what purifies us. And that is what turns work into service. And that's what will reach out and touch other people. They will see. It does not help us to be in the mud puddle, if somebody is in that puddle, to get in there with them and try to pull them out. We have to throw them a rope. And that rope is, from Master's teachings, is the rope of joy, the rope of bliss. But if we can take it to the next stage and put that bliss into action, put that bliss into motion, then what do we have? Swamiji characterized, he defined, you have bliss and you have bliss in motion. And he defined bliss in motion as what? As love. True love of one's fellow man, true love of others comes from that bliss of communion with God. And it's that which we can share that will uplift others. And that's our first duty. To the degree we can put that in motion, well, that also, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and soul and mind and will, and thy neighbor as thyself. Take it to that if we can. And so this is what we're being called to now, is to serve in whatever way is appropriate. This is what Mary chose. She was a disciple. And as disciples, this is our duty, our challenge, our opportunity, and to choose the better part, you might say, just as Mary was. Choose the better part, just as the disciple should. God bless all of you today, and in the weeks and months to come. Joy to you.